if you ever buy a street rod, hot rod, something like that, that maybe down the road it was somebody's project that they started and never finished, you may kind of inherit some of the issues that they had earlier. And brake system is sometimes kind of hard and lengthy to diagnose when everything's not original to like a factory vehicle. You end up with one rear axle that's one brand. You end up with a front suspension and it has an aftermarket disc brake setup on it. And then you have a different brake booster master cylinder setup. And then you may end up with another brake pedal setup that they may have got out of a pickup, a car, something like that. And you just, you have to kind of work through all of that. You know, before you start replacing any parts, the first thing you need to do is, check all your mechanical. Make sure your brakes are adjusted. Make sure there's no air in the lines. Make sure your hoses and steel lines are in good shape. Make sure all your other little brake valves are operating correctly. So that's where you would go first. And once you've gone to that, then that would tell you your next place that you need to check. Your master cylinder, what it should be able to put out is a pressure somewhere between 900 and 1200 psi, and you could check that at the brake caliper with a gauge or another tool, something like that. What you're going to maybe have a problem with is if the car originally had drum brakes all the way around and they put a disc brake kit on it. Well, it already had power brakes on it, but it was power drum. So anyway, your master cylinder very likely is not going to be matched correctly for the disc brake setup. You would need a larger master cylinder. But you, the person that bought the vehicle after they assembled it, you may not have privilege to that information. So you're going to have to do a little checking and all that. Here's a couple of different master cylinders, and this is the 1 1/8" bore. This is the 1-inch bore, and you can tell quite a bit of difference in the diameter. If you had this on a power brake with discs on the front and drums on the rear, very possible your pedal would be way down at the floor. It might be a good pedal, but it'd be way down on the floor. And if you installed a master cylinder that was 1 1/8", then your pedal is going to be up there closer to the top and more what you're accustomed to, and you feel like you have a good firm pedal with some pedal reserve. Something that I also mentioned a little earlier was like your brake pedal ratio, and that is your brake pedal to push rod and brake pedal length, is it 6:1? Is it 5:1? Is it 4:1? You're going to need to kind of look at that and just do some simple calculations on that. Not always, but just as a general rule for manual brakes, it's 6:1 to 5:1. And then for power brakes, it's 5:1 to 4:1. And that's just very general, no set and rule type ratio. But on a custom system, that's something that you kind of need to keep in mind. So anyway, I think just kind of using this just as a very general rule, this might help you troubleshoot a brake issue that you're having to deal with and work your way through. So I do appreciate y'all coming by the shop. Y'all have a great week. This is Rusty Glovebox, and I'm out of here.